Hi, I'm Emmy Birch.
And I am Sandy Thornton, and this is the Take Us With You podcast.
Hey, Sandy, what's the Take Us With You podcast all about?
So glad you asked. In a sea of badness coming out of every news station, let's provide some light, laughter, and levity to this strange, strange time we are living in.
I'm so glad that we're going to be going with you wherever it is you're going. Thanks for taking us with you. Welcome to the show.
Hello, friends. This is Sandy Thornton.
And this is Emmy Birch.
And this is the Take Us With You podcast, episode 2. Welcome.
We're so glad you're here. Hey, Sandy, it's great to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm still basically living confined in my house, but it's lovely to see you on my Zoom screen.
Same. I changed the backdrop. I really wish we were in New York. How do you feel about a girls' trip to New York?
Yeah, and we should do an episode there. And we can go to Central Park and interview somebody.
Put it on the list. I'm there. Let's do it.
It's on.
We can take us with them to take them with us too.
Yeah, I don't even know what they're in store for. God bless.
No, this is so much fun. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Okay, so we got such great responses from our first ever episode. I'm so excited to kind of follow up on that. We're going to talk a little bit about our goals that we discussed last time. I have a very hysterical news article. You're welcome. And then we just kind of want to talk about how we want to move forward. Isn't that kind of what we talked about, Emmy?
It sounds perfect. Yes. And thank you so much for listening to the show. If you are listening to episode number 2, I'll say it in English since you said it in French.
Yeah, I'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Good job. I know. I saw that little teaser in there. Mm-hmm. We're just really glad that you are listening and taking us with you. So I promised you I'd bring you some dad jokes.
I have been waiting on bated breath. Please carry on.
Okay, so I first have to share a little backstory of a dad joke. So Run Club, I run with a run club and I'm an ambassador for a run store. And don't worry, we run socially distant. It's totally fine.
Say that again. What is it called?
Fleet.
That you were Fleet Feet. Yeah, I've heard of
Fleet Feet. It's hard to say. In Savannah, I'm one of their running ambassadors. So we're running on Saturday, and Spencer, my husband, had just been on my music podcast. And I was just sharing some of the questions. The runners were like, well, what questions did he ask you on the show? Who grilled who? And I'm like, well, technically, he grilled me. So I was sharing some of the questions, and Spencer asked what middle C was and why it's called middle C. And this one guy in our run club goes, oh, man, I know the answer to that. And the way he said it, I'm like, oh, cool. What is the answer? And he goes, oh, well, this one time someone was being rude to someone else and, they were supposed to play music together. And instead, when the one guy got rude, the other one said, you better stop it or I'm going to give you a middle C. I'm like, oh, I just got schooled so bad. And I'm like, that's so bad. He goes, I'm the king of dad jokes. And I said, okay, we'll start saving them.
Yes, you tell that friend of yours to make a compilation and we'll get a shout out. What's his name? What's his friend's name?
Theo.
Theo, well done, Theo. That was the daddiest dad joke of them all.
It was pretty good. So I got that dad joke from Theo, but then I also messaged my father because my father has been a dad joker since as long as I remember. He has always been a dad joker, and he uses, like I mentioned last time, his dad jokes for checking the mic at Praise Team. So I feel all of those things are important as I share for you.
Praise Team too. I think that's so fun.
Well, I have quite a few. He shared his, he calls it mic check verbal input note on Apple. So I got him to share that with me.
Okay.
It's so cold outside. Even worship leaders are wearing socks.
Oh, it's funny because it's true.
Okay.
There is a very distinctive look in a worship leader for contemporary worship.
Yeah, especially where it's a perfect mic check for dad. Dad joke mic check.
I love it.
It gets worse. Walmart after midnight. 75% off self-esteem. Why would you go to Walmart after midnight? Like, I'm sleeping.
I try to avoid that place literally like the plague that's currently happening.
Right.
I did that before COVID, but
right.
I feel like it's a special, if you go there late at night, it brings out a very special breed of people that I love to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. almost increases your self-esteem.
Mm.
So I'm about to do all-state choir in Wisconsin virtually this
Okay,
coming weekend.
fun.
So 2 days of Zooming with awesome singers in Wisconsin. So this dad joke is about Wisconsin.
Okay.
It's so cold in Wisconsin that the ice cream machine at McDonald's is actually working.
That's great. Are you going to use it on the kids?
I don't think so. Well, I don't really eat ice
I might
cream.
be offended. I
I
don't know.
think they might be, but so from what I understand, I had to do some digging to understand this. There's like a series of articles about how McDonald's ice cream machine never works.
No, that's factual. Yes.
Like
Um,
that would upset a kid. Like I don't have kids, but I can imagine
that's
if you're like, let's go to McDonald's and get ice cream and it's not working.
yeah. No,
That
sometimes ice cream is the make or break of the day. Like sometimes ice cream is the only thing that I can lure my children with to get them to do the things that I want them to do. So
huh.
yeah, it's a sad day in paradise here when you have all of these expectations built up and you schlep your family to McDonald's to find out that no, the tasty treat is not happening.
That's, I mean, justification to move to Wisconsin right there. The ice is so cold in Wisconsin, the ice cream machines work at McDonald's. Thanks,
I,
Dad.
yeah,
I have a whole note of these, so I will continue to share my
I,
Padres dad jokes.
your Padres on the pod.
He's so cool.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead. I found another fantastic article from HuffPost.com. I know we're all shocked there. Here is the title. Just settle in.
I'm ready.
Naked fugitive rescued from crocodile-infested mangroves by fishermen.
No.
Guess what happened? Yes, I will give you like two guesses that are actually applicable in this situation. There are two.
It's either Florida or Louisiana.
Not okay. Both very good. Both I could see this happening, not even in the United States.
No.
This is in Australia. Yes. Okay, so here we go. The suspected armed robber was found sitting on a tree branch on the outskirts of Darwin, Australia. He'd been lost for 4 days. Here we go.
Like he lost his clothes.
Like there is just so much that I need to feel like I need to decompress after reading that. Like it's like Naked and Alone or Naked and Afraid. Naked and Afraid, that show. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but naked in general, I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I'm afraid right now just thinking about it. So yeah, Naked and Afraid. Is it Afraid? Yeah. Is a show on some network where basically a couple of people strip down to the birthday suits and go like tromping around the jungle.
No, thank you.
They're afraid.
So,
I'm afraid.
so Mr. Armed Robbery lost his clothes, got found 4 days later in Australia. What else does the news article say? Like, tell me more. What did he rob?
We'll get to that. All right. So two fishermen have rescued a naked fugitive who they found sitting on a tree branch in Australian crocodile habitat. Cam Faust said Wednesday that he and fellow recreational fisher Kev Joyner heard Luke Voskresensky, who's 40, yelp for help on Sunday as they set crab traps from their dinghy in mangroves on the outskirts of the northern city of Darwin. Faust said why can't I say this name? Voskresensky, who was covered in mud, cuts, and insect bites. That right there, hard pass. Hard pass. I can't, I don't even like being dirty with clothes on, let alone naked with bug bites and cuts.
Yuck.
Doesn't it feel like a recipe for sepsis?
Ooh, why did he lose his clothes?
I know. Okay, so he explained, this is Bos Krasinski, explained that he had been lost for 4 days, survived by eating snails, and had used his clothes, quote, for bits and pieces over the way, end quote. Emmy, if I ever come to you and say, I'm going to use my clothes for bits and pieces, stop being my friend. Stop it.
No.
I'm giving you permission to just cut me out of
like I'm gonna use my shirt for a pillow and my pants to like clean up this scrape. Like what?
Or like I'm gonna make a flag with my bra and light my underwear on for warmth. What? Just what? Okay. Here we go. Quote, it didn't make sense to us, end quote, Faust said, referring to the explanation for his nudity. He had a nest made up in the tree, and he was only laying a meter, which is 39 inches, which I'm glad that they put that in there because
I wouldn't have known that either.
Above the water, and there were crocs in the water. So he has done well to survive in a nest, which brings me back to that episode of Schitt's Creek where Moira Rose is filming the Crows Have Eyes Too. Do you watch that show?
No, but
Oh,
I might have to.
oh, we'll save that for later. Totally worth it. Okay, so Joyner said the friends hesitated before bringing Voskresensky on board. Well, there's a shocker. I have to think long and hard whether or not I wanted a madman on my dinghy.
Right? Hi, I'm on a dinghy. I'm doing my little hobby job of
I'm
setting these
just
traps.
having a day. I'm having a random Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, and he's in a nest with no clothes, covered in mud with scrapes and bug bites. Cool, yeah, yelping. Did we forget the part that he was yelping?
Help, help. Like, come on board. Come join our party. Okay, once we'd seen how bad he was and how many cuts he had all over him, okay, what was he doing to get the cuts? And that he was dehydrated and pretty weak, we thought we'd better get him in the boat. We thought he must have had a big night after New Year's and got lost and done himself a mischief in the bush, he added. I love Australia.
Can we please use that? He must have done a mischief in the bush.
That's going to be my go-to phrase here for everything that seems ill-fated.
I got into some mischief
in the bush. Faust said he stripped to his underwear and handed Voskresensky his shorts and a beer as the trio made their way back to Darwin. When in doubt, just give him your pants and a beer. He looked like he needed a beer, although he was in a bad way, Faust said. An ambulance was waiting at Darwin boat ramp when they arrived. Voskresensky was taken to a Darwin hospital where he was placed under police guard as he was treated for exposure. Police said Voskresensky had been free on bail after being charged, here we go, with armed robbery, multiple aggravated assaults, deprivation of liberty, which I don't even know what that means, and stealing. But he had to cut off his electronic monitoring device last week. He had cut off his electronic monitoring device last week and attempted to evade police. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall of this entire breakdown. Because he was hospitalized, Voskresensky was excused from attending court on Tuesday to face new charges of breaching bail and aggravated assault, court official Xavier Lacana said. Voskresensky, I don't know why it's such
a name.
That word will next appear in court on February 9th, Lacana said. Faust said he decided against visiting Voskresensky in the hospital after discovering he had been wanted by the police. The end.
So they made friends with this guy on their dinghy and was like, yeah, and then they show up and he goes into protective custody and
that's what's going on in the world today. I mean, there are many other things, as we all know, but that's what's going on in the world in Australia today.
Perspective. So, lesson, don't steal. Don't aggravate people. Don't do aggravated assault. And if you happen to get one of those little bracelet thingies that put you under lock and key,
there is a reason.
Don't cut it off. And then if you happen to cut it off, please don't take off your clothing.
And just run amok in an alligator pit.
What did he think he was going to do? Be like the next Castaway or something and survive above the alligators?
And why choose that? Australia is a big nation. There are tons of places to go. Why would you go to a swamp?
I still think it could have been in Louisiana or Florida, bless.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. And gosh knows I love
both states. I've lived in both states. I think I can say that since I've lived in both states.
Yeah. But there are just such colorful
people
in the world.
He obviously never had good friends that helped him set New Year's goals.
He needs New Year's goals.
What's your New Year's goals, Vishlinsky, or whatever the name was? I'd like to cut out my bracelet and live above a alligator swamp.
I need to cut off my clothes for bits and pieces. Maybe that's going to be my New Year's goal. No one needs in their life.
Okay, I need some hope after that one. How are your New Year's goals doing?
Actually, pretty good. So what are we? Today is the 14th of January. We're about halfway through this month. And normally by about 7 days ago is when I typically fizzle out on all of my New Year's planning in years past. But I will say, there have been a couple things that have been sticking. So let me show you. I have this journal. It's called One List a Day. And so basically I like to write very much. And so there are things like you turn to a page and it's a 3-year journal. And there's a little prompt at the top of the page. And then so you would write in for 2021, what are, for example, things that got on my nerves recently. So here are my things that got on my nerves recently or yesterday. Setting up my new computer that I'm currently Zooming on. Thank God that worked. Not sleeping well. Oh, here's a. Okay, so here's the last one. Sorry, Ken. Sorry in advance. Ken being condescending about a football reference that I made. So
I have
just
so
like,
much I want to say, but I'm going to save it.
yeah. And so like some things are like recent inspirations, and it's just you list 3 things. Another is advice I should have listened to. I can't wait to do that one. Best adventures from this summer. Ideas for future birthdays. Symbols that should be on my family crest. Okay. Anyway,
I need this book. This is amazing.
awesome. I will send you the link, but I will say like it is something that I look forward to every morning. I get up and I sit in my chair because I'm 8,000 years old, and I fill out my little 3 lister thing, and it's super simple. It doesn't give you a whole lot of space to write, so I can't get like caught up in myself. I just go bam, bam, bam down the line, and then I move on. And the cool thing is that I can come back to it in 2022 and 2023 to see like what are the things that have changed. What do I want to add to? Am I still pissed off at Ken for making fun of me about me saying some sports balls thing? Or have we moved on? Stuff like that. So that is
I
my
love
one
this.
thing.
You
Yeah.
have to bring that notebook back.
Oh, I totally will. I totally will. Because it's fun. I enjoy it. And then the only other thing I am trying to do more physical activity. I'm trying to do more yoga. I need to do it today because I do know that I feel better mentally and just emotionally and physically when I do it. And then I'm doing my little French lessons on Duolingo.
I know, because we're friends on Duolingo.
All right, so those are my little things. What about you, Emmy? How are
So
your
far,
goals?
so good. So I didn't set any real specific goals, but I did make a overarching word of the year and quote to go back on. So I kind of have a personal mission statement to weigh everything into.
Okay.
So my word of 21 is sparkle. And
Mhm.
my quote is Oscar Wilde, you can't be anyone else because be yourself because everyone else is already taken.
Amen. Yep.
So I find myself weighing things against those quotes. And instead of saying, oh, I don't want to do blank, or what's the point of this, or getting frustrated at something, I stop and say, okay, how can I re-look at this or reframe the situation and make it sparkle or be my most authentic self in that space? Like writing that article I was telling you about. I just submitted an article for publication, and I swear I had a stomach ache for 6 days just getting started. And finally, I realized, oh my goodness, I am living in some not me world. Let me just be myself on paper for a second, and then I'll go edit it later.
Yes. And I think that that's such a healthy way to approach. I mean, because things are not always going to be like sunshine and unicorns and puppies, and it's very much dictated on how we view the situation, how we choose to allow that situation to affect.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big part too, as we're looking at, like, we're 2 weeks into January, and some things have happened that have been rough and challenging. I
Well,
think making sure you look at what you can control has
mm-hmm.
been the biggest thing. Like this morning, I really did not want to go run solo because if I have the choice, I'm not going to do anything solo because I like people
I
all
love
the time,
Oh, I see. I am like, please
constantly.
stay away from me and let me have some peace and quiet. And maybe it's because I have children crawling on my ankles every hour of the day.
Do you know, I finally got my article written when I
Yeah.
put music on in the other room, a podcast on in the office, and then I sat down to write. Like there felt like there were people everywhere, and then I could write.
So do you find that like those types of things kind of create a spark in you, like an
Mm-hmm.
energy that helps you to propel yourself through the whatever the act is?
Mm-hmm. So you know how you fill up when you're by yourself?
Yes.
Like I am draining when I'm by myself. Like I'm keeping motivating myself versus if there's just someone else sitting in the room doing their own thing,
Right.
I'm just feeding off of that energy.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
even need you to talk to me. I just need you to be in the same room.
Be a presence. Yeah.
Not that I'm not comfortable by myself or with
I know.
myself or any of those things. Just
And
if
see,
I had my own way, goodness, I'd live in like a massive condominium in New York. It'd be like old people living for 30 somethings. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
like,
that would be my dream.
come on, it's 6 p.m. We need to go down for a community supper type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I loved the sorority house. Like people were around all the time. It was golden.
That's awesome. And it's not to say that I don't like people. I clearly I love people.
Yes, we do love people.
Yeah. And like when we go to conferences together, Emmy, like I love seeing you. I love seeing all of our friends and our colleagues. Sometimes they just need to just have a hot minute where my
Quiet.
yeah, yeah. That's
Hmm. But I think that's what we're saying is as you're going forward, whether you've fallen off the bandwagon or you're staying on. I saw a really great quote that motivation is fleeting.
mhm,
Discipline is what remains. So if you get in the routine of writing in your random question journal or evaluating your task against your word or mission statement or whatever, you can always pick yourself back up. It doesn't have to be 2022 before you start again. You just have to I'm
right.
going to start now. It doesn't even have to be tomorrow morning, just after lunch, after dinner. Make
It
your own starting point.
I love that. And I think that's really good to remember because, we are only human. I always go back to the like, we are only human beings. We are fallible. And it's okay to start over. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to make change and shift your viewpoint on things. Like that's the blessing of being alive.
Mm-hmm.
I
Amen.
think.
And
So
having other people impact you and taking people with you on a podcast.
people with you. Apparently I need to sing that now.
I love it. All right, last thing before we wrap up, because I'm guessing whoever is listening is about to get to where they're going.
Um,
Speaking of being human and changing your mind, one of my favorite things that you share are things that you hate that everyone else loves. Like,
yes,
I love it.
I'm very open about the things that I highly dislike that everyone else is completely enamored of.
And I've seriously been thinking all week, what do I really dislike?
Mhm.
And it's been a challenge, but I think I have finally found one. It's not that I like everything, because that's not authentic. It's just I believe you do you, and I don't really have an opinion yet. Not to say that that's not going to change.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But what are some of yours? Because then I'll tell you the one I finally thought of.
All right, so I have a very vehement distaste for Girl Scout cookies. I have mentioned this before, and I know I am like the 0.00001% of Americans that feel this way because my Facebook feed is literally exploding with all these mamas pushing their baby Janes and their Girl Scout cookies right now.
Hi, I live in Savannah.
Yeah,
Do you know what was founded about half a mile from my house?
yeah. So I mean, and it's not to say like those cookies are not the devil. Like, let me make that clear right now. I just don't like them. I
Like
think
the
they're better.
taste of them or the.
Yeah, the taste of them. I think there are better cookies in the world, and we always inevitably buy a pack because it's just honestly the Girl Scout cuteness factor. Like they're adorable. How do you say no? So yeah, I mean, I have Thin Mints, which are fine. They're fine. I think that's what it is. It's not that I'm like I hate these cookies. I just am very ambivalent about them. Like I'm like want want.
If you're going to waste the calories, waste it on something else or
Me,
spend the calories.
it's gonna be tacos. It's gonna be tacos. It's not
Tacos!
gonna be Girl Scout cookies. Oh my gosh, yes. So
Well, good thing there's tacos on the Emmy Diners menu. I have
I,
like 6 different kinds.
I'm driving. When you get
Come on.
that truck off the ground, I'm coming and I'm gonna stay with you. So just prepare yourself.
If you heard that, yes, I will eventually have a food truck named Emmy's Diner, but that's like my retirement gig. Like I'm planning that for my future self, but I'm planning the menus now.
Good to be prepared, Emmy.
Oh, but you know what? That's something. I really get agitated when we go to a restaurant and there's not good food on the menu. Like, it is not that hard to really be creative and delicious. Don't serve me something boring or blase. And please do not have a salad as your vegan vegetarian option. It like salad or pasta with tomato sauce. Like, no, thank you. Do
Yeah,
you know what you can do with an eggplant? Do
yeah,
you know what you can do with a squash? Hello, mushrooms.
exactly. There's no reason. No reason.
I didn't think of that until right now. I get super angry when people like a restaurant and they have zero good options.
Like, how dare you? How dare you like TGI Fridays? There's zero on the menu. Sorry, TGI. I actually like going to visit you, but yes,
They have a really good salad bar actually with lots of
they have
toppings.
great margaritas. All right, I'm not gonna lie. Let's just go for it. Yeah. No, I get a little bit. I don't know. Yes, it's frustrating. It is frustrating, and I'm
But
like,
it's
well,
okay.
yeah, it's fine.
I can't wait to hear what our listeners
Oh my God.
hate that other people love.
Yes, please let us know. We do have an email that you're welcome to send us emails at, and it is
Please let us know with my nicest little teacher voice.
Right. So it's called Take Us With You podcast at gmail.com. And write to us at any time. We want to know your thoughts on what you think of the things that we don't like.
Or the things that you don't like. We'd like to know what those are.
Or the
You
things that
can,
you do
you
like.
know, slide into our DMs. You could totally give us new reasons as to why we should reevaluate our dislike for neighborhoods.
Right on. Yeah, I am all
I'd be open for that.
opinions. I want to know. And maybe we'll read your email on the show.
Ooh, or your DM. I still like saying slide into our DMs.
Yes, do.
We have an Instagram. Woo!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So our Instagram is Take Us With You podcast. So you are welcome to check it out. And we usually try to drop an episode every 2 weeks, and we'll mention it on the gram. That's what all the cool kids say.
Sure, I trust you. We've done dad jokes. We had the most random alligator-infested naked news story. We reviewed our goals and given you some things to think about. And then we shared pretty honestly things we dislike. So I hope you still like us because we still like you.
Being really authentic.
We're so glad that you took us with you. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.